The prison ship moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Inside its cold metal walls, thousands of prisoners waited for death. Some were criminals. Some were enemies of the Valoran Empire. And some, like Kang Taehan, were simply humans who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Taehan sat in the corner of his cell. His hands were bound with energy chains that burned his wrists whenever he moved too fast. His body was covered in old scars and fresh bruises. The Valoran guards enjoyed beating him. They said humans were weak, primitive creatures. They said humans were like animals that had somehow learned to build spaceships. But Taehan was not a normal human. He had been a soldier once. Then he became something worse. The governments of Earth had a name for people like him. They called them Reapers. Men and women trained to kill without feeling, to complete missions that official soldiers could not touch. Taehan had killed 2,847 beings in his career. He remembered every single face. 3 months ago, he had been sent to kill a Valoran diplomat. The mission was supposed to be simple, but someone had betrayed him. Someone had told the Valorans he was coming. Now he was here, waiting to die in an alien prison. He did not care anymore. The cell door opened with a hiss. Taehan did not look up. Another beating, probably. The guards came every few days to remind him that humans were nothing. But this time, the footsteps were different, lighter, softer, and there was a smell in the air. Something like flowers after rain. Taehan raised his head. A Valoran female stood in the doorway. But she was not like the guards or the soldiers he had seen. Her skin was silver blue, smooth like polished metal. Her eyes were violet and they glowed softly in the dark cell. She wore robes of white and gold that marked her as royalty. Behind her stood 6 guards in ceremonial armor. Princess Lyrae, third daughter of Emperor North, looked at the human prisoner with curiosity. She had come to this prison ship as part of her diplomatic duties. It was boring work, meant to keep her busy and out of important politics. Her father thought she was useless. Her brother Kalen thought she was weak. So they sent her to inspect prison ships and smile at officials while real decisions were made without her. But something strange had happened. When she walked past this cell, Lyrae had a gift. All Valoran royalty could sense emotions. It was how they controlled their empire. They could feel fear, anger, love, and hate radiating from other beings like heat from a fire. When Lyrae walked through the prison, she felt thousands of emotions. Despair, rage, terror, hope. But when she passed this cell, she felt nothing. Not emptiness, not calm, nothing. It was like standing at the edge of a black hole. This human had no emotions at all. Or he had buried them so deep that even Valoran empathy could not reach them. That should have been impossible. Bring him to me, Lyrae had ordered. And now here she was, standing before the most dangerous human the Valoran Empire had ever captured. You are Kang Taehan, she said. Her voice was musical, like wind chimes. The one they call the Reaper. Taehan looked at her with dead eyes. And you are a princess playing with prisoners because nobody trusts you with real power. The guards moved forward, ready to beat him for his disrespect. But Lyrae raised her hand. How do you know that? She asked. Your robes are expensive but old. Hand-me-downs from older sisters. Your guards are ceremonial, not combat trained. And you came to a prison ship. No important royal would waste their time here. Taehan's voice was flat, without emotion. You are decoration. Just like me. Lyrae felt something she had not expected. Interest. This human was not begging for his life. He was not afraid. He was analyzing her like she was a puzzle to solve. You speak Valoran perfectly, she observed. Most humans can barely manage basic phrases. I learned it to kill your people more efficiently, Taehan replied. Language helps you understand how your enemy thinks. One of the guards stepped forward. Enough of this. Kneel before the princess, animal. The guard reached for Taehyun's shoulder. What happened next took less than 3 seconds. Taehyun moved. Despite the energy chains, despite the weeks of starvation and beatings, he moved faster than anything Lyrae had ever seen. He broke the first guard's arm at the elbow. He used the falling body to trip the second guard. The third guard drew his weapon, but Taehyun was already behind him, using the chains around his wrists to choke him. The other 3 guards finally reacted. They fired stun weapons. Taehyun took 2 shots to his body and kept moving. He threw the unconscious guard into the 4th attacker. The 5th guard's weapon was knocked away. The 6th guard managed to hit Taehyun with a shock baton. Taehyun fell to his knees. His body was shaking from the electrical damage. But he was still conscious, still looking at Lyrae with those empty eyes. 3 guards were unconscious. 2 were injured. 1 was standing, barely. The princess had not moved. She had not screamed. She had simply watched with wide violet eyes. "You could have killed them," she said quietly. "But you did not." Taehyun spat blood onto the floor. "They are not my targets. And you did not order my death. Yet." More guards rushed into the cell. They forced Taehyun to the ground. They beat him until he stopped moving. But Lyrae noticed something. Even as they kicked him and shocked him, the human did not make a sound. He did not beg. He did not cry. He simply endured. "Stop," Lyrae commanded. The guards froze. "I am taking this prisoner to my personal ship. He will be transferred to my custody immediately." The head guard looked shocked. "Princess, this creature is extremely dangerous. He has killed thousands." "He cannot be. I am aware of what he is," Lyrae interrupted. "That is exactly why I want to study him. Prepare the transfer." She looked down at Taehyun. He was barely conscious, blood dripping from his mouth and nose. But his eyes were open. And for just a moment, she thought she saw something in them. Not emotion. Something deeper. Something like recognition. As if he knew that his life had just changed forever. The guards dragged him away. Lyra stood alone in the empty cell, her heart beating faster than it should. She had come to this prison expecting nothing. But she had found something impossible. A human with no soul. A killer with no hatred. A monster who had chosen not to kill. She needed to understand him. She needed to know how a creature could be so dangerous and so empty at the same time. What Lyrae did not realize was that she had just made the most important decision of her life. And it would change not just her fate, but the fate of 2 civilizations. The war between humans and Valorans was coming. And it would begin with a princess and a prisoner who had nothing left to lose. Lyrae's personal ship was called the Starlight Whisper. It was a beautiful vessel, built for comfort rather than war. The walls were decorated with art from 100 conquered worlds. The floors were soft. The air smelled of flowers and spices. It was the opposite of a prison cell. Taehyun stood in his new quarters. They had given him a room with a bed, a window showing the stars, and a door that was locked from the outside. His chains were gone, replaced by a metal band around his neck. If he tried to escape or hurt anyone, the band would inject poison into his blood. He walked to the window and watched the stars pass by. He did not feel grateful. He did not feel hopeful. He simply observed his new cage and calculated his options. The door opened behind him. Lyrae entered alone. She wore simpler clothes now, dark blue robes without jewelry. She carried a small device that would activate his collar if needed. But she did not seem afraid. "You have not tried to escape," she observed. "There is nowhere to go," Taehyun replied without turning around. "We are in Valoran space. Even if I stole a shuttle, I would be captured or killed within hours. So you are just going to wait? I am going to survive. That is what humans do. Lyrae moved closer. She had so many questions. This human had fascinated her since the moment she saw him. His empty mind. His impossible speed. The way he had defeated train guards while starving and chained. Tell me about humans, she said. My tutors taught me that your species is primitive, violent, driven by emotions rather than logic. For the first time, Taihan turned to look at her. Your tutors were right. And also wrong. Explain. He was silent for a long moment. Then he moved to sit on the edge of his bed. Lorraine noticed that he moved like a predator. Every motion was efficient. No wasted energy. Humans are not strong, he began. We are not fast. We cannot see in the dark. We cannot smell danger from miles away. We have no natural weapons. No claws, no venom, no armor. Then how did you survive on your world? Lyrae asked. Earth is a dangerous planet. Your jungles have creatures that could kill a Valoran soldier easily. We survived because we do not stop, Taihan said. On Earth, we were persistence hunters. Our prey was faster than us, stronger than us, but we would follow it. For hours, for days. When it grew tired, we would still be coming. When it needed to rest, we would still be coming. We walked our prey to death. Lyrae felt a chill run through her body. The way he said it was so calm. So matter of fact, that sounds terrifying. It is. Taihan looked at her with those empty eyes. Your people conquered the galaxy because you were the apex predators of your world. You were born with natural weapons and abilities. But humans? We had to earn our place at the top. We had to become monsters through will and training and refusal to give up. Lyrae sat down on a chair across from him. She was beginning to understand. The Valoran Empire had encountered many species. Some were stronger. Some were smarter. Some had better technology. But they had all been defeated because they knew when to surrender. They understood when a fight was hopeless. Humans did not understand that. Is that why they call you the Reaper? She asked softly. Because you never stop. Something flickered in Taihan's eyes. Pain, maybe. Or memory. They call me the Reaper because I've killed 2,847 beings. Not in war. In silence. In shadows. I was a tool for people who needed problems to disappear quietly. Did you enjoy it? The question hung in the air. Taihan was quiet for a long time. No, he finally said. I did not enjoy it. But I did not hate it either. I felt nothing. That is why they chose me. That is why I was good at it. He paused. I learned to stop feeling after my first 100 kills. It was the only way to survive with my mind intact. Lyrae reached out with her empathic senses again. Still nothing. That void where his emotions should be. Now she understood. He had not been born empty. He had made himself empty. He had buried every feeling so deep that they might never come back. That sounds lonely, she whispered. Taihan looked at her. Really looked at her. It is. Days passed. Lyrae visited him every evening. They talked about many things. She told him about Valoran politics, about her useless position as third princess, about her brother Kalen, who wanted to exterminate humanity as a show of strength. He told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the green forests, the cities that never slept. Slowly, something changed between them. Lyrae began to see past the killer. She saw a man who had been used by his own people, a weapon that had never been allowed to be human. And Taihan began to see past the princess. He saw a woman trapped by her birth, forced to smile and stay silent while others decided her fate. They were both prisoners, just in different cages. Then the attack came. It happened in the night cycle. Explosions rocked the ship. Alarms screamed. Lorraine was thrown from her bed as the vessel shook violently. Assassins. Someone had sent assassins to kill her. She tried to reach her guards, but the communications were dead. She could hear fighting outside her door. Screams. Energy weapons firing. Then silence. Her door exploded inward. 8 figures in black armor entered her room. Their weapons were pointed at her. She recognized the symbol on their shoulders. Faction Cole, a rival political group that wanted her father overthrown. The princess dies tonight, the leader said. The Empire will have new leadership by morning. Lorraine backed against the wall. She had no weapons, no training. She was going to die. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, she heard sounds. Wet sounds. Crunching sounds. Screams that were cut short. Bodies falling to the floor. When the emergency lights activated, Lyra saw something that would stay in her memory forever. Taihan stood in the middle of her room. The suppression collar around his neck was sparking. He had somehow overloaded it. His hands were covered in blood. Around him lay 8 bodies. Some had broken necks. Some had crushed throats. One had been killed with his own knife. The human was breathing heavily. His eyes were still empty, but now they were also focused. Dangerous. Alive. Are you hurt? He asked. Lyra could not speak. She just shook her head. Taihan looked at the bodies around him. They were good, well-trained, but they made a mistake. What mistake? Lyra whispered. They thought I was locked in my room. He picked up one of their weapons and checked it. They did not understand that I was locked in with them. Lyra should have been terrified. This human had just killed 8 trained assassins with his bare hands. He could kill her just as easily, but instead of fear, she felt something else. Safety. For the first time in her life, she felt truly safe. Why? She asked. Why did you save me? You owe me nothing. I am your captor. Taihan was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that cracked the walls around. Lorraine's heart. You are the first person in a very long time who talked to me, like I was still human. Lyra looked at this broken killer, standing among the bodies of her enemies, and she realized that maybe, just maybe, there was still a man buried beneath the monster. She reached out and touched his blood-covered hand. He did not pull away. News of the assassination attempt spread through the Valoran Empire like fire. Princess Lyra had survived an attack by Faction Cole. 8 trained killers had been sent to murder her. All 8 had died at the hands of a human prisoner. The imperial court was in chaos. Prince Kalen stood before his father's throne, his face twisted with anger. He was tall for a Valoran, with sharp features and cold silver eyes. He had always hated humans. He believed they were vermin that needed to be destroyed before they could threaten the Empire. This human killed 8 Valoran warriors, Kalen shouted. He shed Valoran blood on a royal vessel. He must be executed immediately. Anything less is an insult to our people. Emperor North sat on his throne of black crystal. He was ancient, over 400 years old, and his power was absolute. His eyes glowed with faint purple light as he considered his son's words. The human killed assassins who were trying to murder my daughter, the emperor replied calmly. Some might say he deserves a reward, not punishment. Rewarding a human for killing Valorans? Kalen's voice was full of disgust. Father, this sets a dangerous example. Every human slave in the Empire will think they can raise their hands against us. Lyra stood to the side, watching the argument. Her heart was beating fast. She knew what was coming. Kalen would not stop until Taihan was dead. He would use this incident to advance his hatred. She had to do something. I invoke Sarth Khan, she said loudly. The entire court went silent. Even the Emperor's eyes widened slightly. Soreth Khan, the blood, debt, an ancient law from the earliest days of the Valoran Empire. If someone saved the royal's life, the royal could claim them as a personal protector until the debt was repaid. You cannot be serious, Kalen said slowly. The law is clear, Lyrae replied, keeping her voice steady. Khan Tehain saved my life. I claim him as my protector under Soreth Khan. He cannot be executed while the debt stands. He is a human, Kalen spat. A primitive animal. The law was meant for Valoran heroes, not alien slaves. The law does not specify species. Lyrae turned to her father. Does it, Emperor? North was silent for a long moment. He looked at his daughter with new interest. She had always been quiet, obedient, easy to ignore. But now she was standing against her brother in open court. The law does not specify species, North admitted. The claim is valid. Callan's face turned dark with rage. Father, you cannot allow this. A princess protected by a human? It is shameful. It is disgusting. It is the law, North said firmly. And I will not break the law because you find it inconvenient, Callan. The human lives. For now, he turned his ancient gaze to Lyrae. But know this, daughter. If your human becomes a problem, if he kills anyone I do not want killed, I will execute you both. Blood debt or not. Lyrae bowed her head. I understand, father. As she left the court, she could feel Kellen's hatred burning into her back. She had made a powerful enemy, but she had saved Tehayan's life. For now, that was enough. Far across the galaxy, in the shadow of Earth's dying moon, a woman named Yoon Hana stared at a holographic display. She was tall and thin, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Once, she had been Tehayan's commanding officer. Now she worked for the United Earth Coalition's intelligence division. The display showed a prisoner manifest from a Valoran transport ship. And there, among thousands of names, was one that made her blood run cold. Kang Tehayan, captured. Alive. Hana had thought he was dead. Everyone had thought he was dead. The failed assassination mission had been a disaster. But now she knew the truth. He had been betrayed. Someone in Earth's government had sold him to the Valorans. She began digging, following trails of money and secrets. And what she found made her sick. The betrayal had come from the highest levels. Someone wanted Tehayan removed. Someone who was afraid of what he knew. What he could reveal. Hana made a decision. She would find out who had betrayed him, and she would get him out. But first, she needed to find a way into Valoran space without being caught. Back on Lyrae's ship, Tehayan was being moved to new quarters. As the princess's official protector, he could no longer be kept in a locked room. He was given a small chamber connected to Lyrae's suite. He was given better clothes. The suppression collar remained, but its settings were adjusted. He was still a prisoner. But now he was a prisoner with a purpose. That night, Lyrae visited him. You did not have to do that, Tehayan said. He stood by the window, watching the stars. The blood debt. You put yourself at risk for me. You saved my life, Lyrae replied. It seemed fair. Nothing is fair in politics. He turned to look at her. Your brother will try to kill us both now. You know that. Yes. Lyrae sat down on a chair. I know. Then why? It was a simple question. But the answer was complicated. Lyrae had been thinking about it since she made her decision. Because when those assassins came to kill me, you were the only one who fought for me, she said quietly. Not the guards. Not my family. A human prisoner who owed me nothing. She paused. No one has ever done that for me. Tehayan was silent. He understood what she meant. He understood loneliness. I have nightmares, he said suddenly. Lyra looked up. What? Every night. I see the faces of everyone I have killed. I hear their voices. They ask me why. He sat down on his bed. I never have an answer. Without thinking, Lyra reached out with her empathic abilities. She wanted to feel what he felt. She wanted to understand his pain. And suddenly, she was drowning. Images flooded her mind. A burning village. Children screaming. A woman begging for her life. Blood on his hands, again and again. Forever. The weight of 2,847 deaths pressing down on a single human soul. Lyra gasped and pulled back. Tears were streaming down her face. That is what I carry, Taehyun said quietly. Every moment. Every day. How do you survive? She whispered. I stopped feeling. I buried everything deep. If I let myself feel it, even for a moment, I would break. He looked at her with those empty eyes. That is the cost of being a weapon. Lyra stood up. She walked to him slowly. And then she did something that surprised them both. She sat beside him on the bed. She took his hand. You are not a weapon, she said. Not anymore. Not to me. Taehyun looked at their joined hands. Her silver blue skin against his scarred brown fingers. Two beings from different worlds. Different species. Enemies by birth. But in that moment, they were just two broken souls finding warmth in each other. Thank you, he whispered. And for the first time in years, he meant it. Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. She could feel his heartbeat. Strong, steady, human. We are both monsters in the eyes of others, she said softly. Maybe monsters should stick together. Taehyun did not reply, but he did not pull away either. Outside, the stars watched in silence as something new began to grow. Something that should have been impossible. Something that would shake the foundations of two civilizations. Love was beginning to bloom in the space between a princess and a killer, and it would change everything. War was coming to Earth. Taehyun learned this by listening. As Lyra's protector, he accompanied her to diplomatic meetings, political gatherings, and royal councils. The Valorans spoke freely in front of him. They did not think a human could understand their complex language. They did not know that Taehyun understood every word. Emperor North was building an invasion fleet. 300 warships, 50,000 ground troops, weapons that could burn cities to ash. The plan was simple. Crush Earth's defenses, enslave the human population, and add another conquered world to the Valoran Empire. The attack would happen in 6 weeks. Taehyun faced an impossible choice. If he warned Earth, he would betray Lyra's trust. He would be killed immediately. But if he stayed silent, his entire species would be enslaved. He lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, trying to decide what to do. Lyra noticed his silence. She noticed how his eyes grew darker, how his shoulders tensed during military briefings. Something is wrong, she said one evening. They were alone in her chambers. The stars shone through the window like scattered diamonds. Taehyun did not answer. I can feel it, Lyra continued. Your emotions are buried deep, but they are still there. And right now, something is eating you alive. He turned to look at her. This woman who had saved his life, who had treated him like a person instead of a monster, who had held his hand in the darkness. If you knew something terrible was going to happen, he said slowly, but telling the truth would destroy everything you cared about, what would you do? Lyra was quiet for a long moment. She understood what he was really asking. My people are planning something, she said. Something that involves your people. Is that it? Taehyun closed his eyes. Yes, and you cannot tell me because I am Valoran. Because I might be loyal to my father. Yes, Lyra stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the endless stars. Her reflection shimmered in the glass. I am not my father, she said quietly. I am not my brother. I have seen how the Empire treats conquered worlds. Slavery, exploitation, cruelty. She turned to face him. If my father is planning something terrible, I want to know. Even if it means betraying your own people? My people betrayed me long ago. They made me useless, invisible, a decoration to be married off for political gain. Her eyes glowed with intensity. You are the only one who has ever seen me as a real person. If I have to choose between the Empire and you, I choose you. Taehan felt something crack inside him. A wall he had built over years of killing. A barrier that protected him from feeling. He told her everything. The invasion plan. The fleet. The timetable. When he finished, Lyray's face was pale. 6 weeks, she whispered. That is not enough time for Earth to prepare. No, it is not. They sat in silence, the weight of knowledge pressing down on them. Then Lyra straightened her shoulders. We need to warn them. Your people. We need to find a way. Before Taehan could respond, alarms began screaming throughout the ship. Princess Lyra, a guard's voice came through the speaker. Report to the bridge immediately. There has been an incident. They rushed to the bridge together. What Lyra found there made her blood freeze. Prince Kalen stood at the center of the room, surrounded by soldiers. Not the ship's guards. His personal forces. Loyal only to him. Brother, Lyra said carefully. What is happening? Kalen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Dear sister, I have discovered a terrible plot. It seems your human pet has been communicating with Earth forces, sending them information about our invasion plans. He held up a device. This transmission was intercepted 1 hour ago. Taehan's jaw tightened. He had not sent any transmission. This was a setup. That is a lie, Lyra said sharply. Taehan has been with me constantly. He has had no access to communications. Oh, but the evidence is clear. Kalen waved his hand. And there is more. It seems the human has been planning to murder you, sister, to escape and return to his people with the information he has gathered. That is absurd. He saved my life. A trick. A manipulation. Humans are cunning creatures. Kalen's eyes gleamed with triumph. Father has already been informed. He has authorized the human's execution. And since you invoked Sorth Khan, you will share his punishment for sheltering a traitor. Lyra understood now. This was never about Taehan. This was about removing her. With both of them dead, Kalen would have no obstacles to the throne. Taehan stepped forward. The soldiers raised their weapons. If you are going to kill me, he said calmly, at least be honest about why. Your sister threatens your power. You need her gone. I am just a convenient excuse. Kalen's smile faded slightly. Clever creature. But it does not matter what you know. In a few minutes, you will both be dead. He raised his hand to give the order. Taehan moved. No one saw him draw the weapon from the nearest soldier. No one saw him disable the first 3 guards before they could react. They only saw the result. Bodies falling. Weapons scattering. A single human moving through trained Valoran warriors like wind through grass. Kalen screamed for reinforcements. More soldiers poured onto the bridge. 10, 20, 30. Taehan did not stop. He fought like something from a polite nightmare. Fast, brutal, efficient. Every strike was precise. Every movement conserved energy. He was wounded again and again. Blood ran from cuts on his arms, his chest, his face. But he did not fall. Lyra watched in horror and wonder. She had seen him fight before. But this was different. This was not a man defending himself. This was a force of nature. 20 soldiers down. Taehan was still standing. 20-5 soldiers down. His movements were slower now, but still deadly. 30 soldiers down. He fell to one knee, gasping for breath, blood pooling around him, but there were no more enemies standing. Kalen backed against the wall, his face white with fear. He had never seen anything like this. No one had. A single human had destroyed his entire personal guard. Taehyun rose to his feet. He walked toward the prince, each step leaving bloody footprints on the deck. "I could kill you," he said quietly. "It would be easy. One more body among thousands." Kalen tried to speak, but no words came out. "But I will not." Taehyun stopped in front of him. "Because she would not want me to." He turned to look at Lyrae. His face was a mask of blood. His body was covered in wounds. But his eyes were alive. For the first time, they held something other than emptiness. "I am not a weapon anymore," he said softly. "I am yours." Then he collapsed. The bridge was silent except for the groans of wounded soldiers. Lyrae rushed to Taehyun's side. She pressed her hands against his worst wounds, trying to stop the bleeding. "Medical team to the bridge," she screamed. "Now!" Kalen tried to slip away, but the ship's captain, who had watched everything, blocked his path. "I think the Emperor will want to hear about this," the captain said grimly. "All of it." As Lyra held the dying human in her arms, she prayed to gods she did not believe in. "Do not die," she whispered. "Please, do not leave me." Taehyun's eyes fluttered open. He looked at her, and despite the blood and the pain, he smiled. "Not yet," he breathed. "Still have work to do." Then his eyes closed, and Lyra screamed for help as the man she loved slipped toward death. For 3 days, Taehyun floated between life and death. The Valoran doctors worked frantically, but human biology confused them. His organs were in different places than they expected. His blood was a different color. His body kept fighting their treatments as if their medicine was poison. Lyra refused to leave his side. She slept in a chair beside his bed. She held his hand through the worst moments. When his heart stopped twice, she screamed at the doctors until they brought him back. Emperor North was silent about the incident. The evidence against Kalen was overwhelming. 30 witnesses had seen him trying to murder his sister. The captain's recording showed everything. For now, the prince was confined to his quarters while the emperor decided his fate. But the invasion plans continued. The fleet was still being prepared. Earth was still in danger. On the 4th day, Lyra received a secret message. It came through a secure channel that should have been impossible to access. The message was short. "I can help him. Let me in." Against all logic, Lyra followed the instructions. She disabled a specific security sensor. She unlocked a specific door. And at midnight, a figure slipped into the medical bay. Yunhana looked different than Lyra expected. The human woman was thin and tired. She had traveled for weeks to reach this ship. False identities, stolen vessels, bribes and lies, all to reach the man she had once commanded. "You are the one who sent the message," Lyra said carefully. Hana nodded. "I was his commanding officer. Before he became what he became." She moved to Taehyun's bedside and examined the medical readings. "Your doctors are treating him wrong. Human medicine is different. I can help. Why should I trust you?" Hana turned to face the princess. Her eyes were hard but honest. "Because Taehyun is one of the only good things I have left. Because someone on Earth betrayed him, sold him to your people." She paused. "And because I know about the invasion. If we do not work together, both our peoples will suffer." Lyra studied this human woman. She felt no deception in her emotions, only determination and grief. "Help him," Lyra said. "We will talk when he wakes." Hana worked through the night. She adjusted the medication. She explained human biology to the confused doctors. She used techniques that seemed primitive to Valoran standards, but were perfectly suited to Taehyun's body. By morning, his vital signs were stable. By evening, he opened his eyes. "Hana," he whispered. His voice was rough from days of silence. "How?" "I am too stubborn to let you die, soldier." Hana allowed herself a small smile. "You look terrible. Feel worse." He tried to sit up, but Lyra gently pushed him back down. "Rest," she said firmly. "You almost died. Several times." Taehyun looked between the two women, his princess and his former commander. They'd been enemies by birth, but now they stood together at his bedside. "The invasion," he said. "Earth needs to know." "I have the information," Hana replied. "But I need more. Fleet positions, attack vectors, defensive weaknesses, everything your princess has access to." Lyra tensed. This was the moment of truth. Would she betray her own people completely? "If I help you," she said slowly, "I can never go back. I will be a traitor, an exile." "Yes," Hana said simply. "You will." Lyra looked at Taehyun. His eyes met hers. He did not ask her to do this. He would not. The choice had to be hers. She thought about her father, cold, distant, treating her like decoration. She thought about her brother, willing to murder her for power. She thought about her people, proud, cruel, planning to enslave an entire world. Then she thought about Taehyun, his gentle hands, his haunted eyes, the way he had chosen not to kill even when he could have, the way he looked at her like she mattered. "I will help you," she said. The days that followed were strange. Taehyun recovered slowly. Hana remained hidden on the ship, working on the extraction plan. And Lyra began gathering information. She accessed files she should not have seen. She copied documents that would condemn her. She memorized fleet positions and attack schedules, and every night, she returned to Taehyun's room. They talked for hours. About Earth, about Valora, about the war that was coming. But they also talked about smaller things. Favorite foods, childhood memories, dreams they had abandoned long ago. One night, Lyra found herself crying. "I am afraid," she admitted. "Everything I know is ending. My home, my family, my identity. Soon I will have nothing." Taehyun reached out and took her hand. His grip was weak but warm. "You will have me," he said quietly. Lyra looked at him. This broken killer who had somehow found his heart again. This human who had been made into a weapon and was learning to be a man. "I love you," she said. The words came out before she could stop them. "I know it is impossible. I know we are different species, different worlds. But I love you." Taehyun was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled her closer. "I have killed 2,847 people," he said. "I have blood on my hands that will never wash away. Everyone I have ever cared about has died. Loving me is dangerous. Loving me is foolish." Lurie's heart sank. "But I love you anyway," he continued. "I do not deserve it. I do not understand it. But when I look at you, I feel something I thought was dead forever." He reached up and touched her face. His fingers were calloused and scarred, but gentle. "You showed me that I was still human," he whispered. "How could I not love you for that?" Lyra kissed him. It was soft at first, careful. Two wounded souls reaching for each other in the darkness. But then something deeper awakened. Years of loneliness. Years of pain. Years of walls built to keep out feeling. They fell into each other like survivors, finding shore after drowning. Later, they lay together in the narrow medical bed. Lurie's head rested on his chest. She could hear his heartbeat. Strong and steady, human. "We are both monsters," she said softly. In the eyes of everyone else. Maybe monsters deserve each other, Taehyun replied. His hand stroked her silver blue hair. Maybe that is the only way we can heal. Hana interrupted them the next morning with urgent news. The fleet launches in 2 weeks, she said grimly. Earth Command knows something is coming, but they do not have enough information to prepare properly. I need to get back with everything we have. Then we move now, Taehyun said. He was sitting up in bed, still weak but determined. Lyrae, can you access your father's personal archives? The complete invasion strategy will be there. Lyrae nodded. I can try, but the archives are heavily guarded. If I am caught, you will not be alone, Taehyun said. He swung his legs off the bed. I am coming with you. You can barely walk. Then I will crawl. His eyes were hard. This is not just about saving Earth. It is about saving you. If the invasion succeeds, if Earth falls, my people will eventually find out who helped them. They will come for you. The only way to protect you is to make sure Earth wins. Lyrae understood. He was not just fighting for his planet. He was fighting for her. Together then, she said. We do this together. Hana watched the two of them with something like wonder. She had known Taehyun for years. She had seen him kill without hesitation. She had seen him become empty, but she had never seen him in love. You have changed him, she said to Lyrae quietly. He changed me first, Lyrae replied. That night, they began planning the most dangerous mission of their lives. To break into the heart of the Valoran Empire. To steal the secrets that could save humanity. To risk everything for a love that should have been impossible. The countdown to war had begun, and two star-crossed souls stood at the center of it all. The Imperial archives were located in the deepest level of the palace ship. Millions of documents. Centuries of secrets. The complete history of Valoran conquest stored in crystal data cores that glowed like captured starlight. Getting inside would be nearly impossible. But Lyrae was still a princess. And Taehyun was still the deadliest. Human alive. They made their move during the Emperor's feast, celebrating the coming invasion. Every important official was at the celebration. Every guard was focused on protecting the throne room. For a few precious hours, the archives would be less protected than usual. Lyrae walked through the palace corridors with Taehyun behind her. He wore the uniform of a royal guard, his face hidden by a ceremonial mask. To anyone watching, he was just another soldier escorting the Princess. Hana waited in a stolen shuttle at the edge of the palace ship's docking bay. If everything went well, they would be in hyperspace before anyone knew what had happened. If everything went wrong, they would all be dead. The access point is ahead, Lyrae whispered. 2 guards. I will distract them. You move past. Taehyun nodded slightly. They approached the archive entrance. The guards bowed to the princess. Your Highness, one of them said. The archives are restricted during the feast. I am aware, Lyrae replied smoothly. I need to access my family records for the celebration speech. Father requested specific historical references. The guards hesitated. Denying a princess was dangerous. But so was breaking protocol. In that moment of hesitation, Taehyun moved. 2 quick strikes. Both guards collapsed, unconscious before they hit the ground. Was that necessary? Lyrae asked. They would have asked too many questions. Taehyun dragged the bodies into a side room. Clock is running. Let us go. Inside the archives, Lyrae navigated the crystal forest of data cores. She knew exactly where to go. The Emperor's personal section. The invasion plans would be there. Security beams crisscrossed the floor. Taehyun stepped through them like he was dancing. His movements were precise, calculated. Years of training guiding every step. They reached the Emperor's vault. Lyrae pressed her hand against the scanner. Her blood. Her identity. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the vault door slid open. Inside was everything they needed. Fleet positions. Attack vectors. Defensive weaknesses. Timetables. Names of Earth collaborators who had been feeding information to the Valorans for years. Lyra began copying everything to a portable data crystal. "Hurry," Taehyun said. He was watching the door, his body tense. "I am going as fast as I can. There is so much data." The seconds stretched into minutes. Taehyun could hear his own heartbeat. He could feel the weight of every moment. Then the alarm started. Red light flooded the archives. Sirens screamed. The vault door began to close. Now, Taehyun grabbed Lyrae and pulled her through the narrowing gap. The door slammed shut behind them, nearly catching her robes. "They know," Lyrae gasped. "Someone saw us. Run." They sprinted through the archive corridors. Guards were converging from every direction. Taehyun took down the first two with brutal efficiency. Then 4 more. Then 6. But they kept coming. "There are too many," Lyrae shouted. "We cannot fight through all of them." Taehyun spotted a side passage. "This way." They ducked through narrow maintenance tunnels. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew louder. Ahead, they could see the docking bay. Hana's shuttle was waiting. They burst into the open bay and found Emperor North waiting for them. He stood at the center of the bay, surrounded by his personal guard. The most elite warriors in the Empire. 50 soldiers in full combat armor. Behind him, Prince Kalen smiled with cold satisfaction. He had been released from confinement for this. The chance to witness his sister's execution. "My daughter," the Emperor said. His voice was ancient and heavy with disappointment. "I had hoped the reports were wrong. I had hoped you were not truly betraying your blood." Lyrae straightened her shoulders. "You were going to enslave an entire species. Billions of innocent people. How could I stand by and watch? They are humans, animals, less than nothing. They are people," Lyrae shouted. "They love. They dream. They feel pain and joy just like we do. The only difference is that we have more power. And we use that power to destroy everything we touch." The Emperor's eyes glowed with cold anger. "You have been corrupted by this creature." He gestured, Taehyun. "He has poisoned your mind. He showed me the truth. About our empire. About myself." Lyrae took Taehyun's hand. "And I love him." Silence fell over the docking bay. Even the guards seemed shocked by this confession. Kalen laughed. "Love? You love this animal? This is even worse than I imagined." "Kill them both," the Emperor commanded. "Kill the human slowly. Make him suffer. Let my daughter watch before she dies." The guards moved forward. Taehyun stepped in front of Lyrae. He picked up a blade from a fallen guard. It was not his preferred weapon. It did not matter. "Stay behind me," he said quietly. "No matter what happens, stay behind me. Taehyun, I made a promise. I will not let them hurt you." The first guard attacked. Taehyun cut him down in a single motion. The second guard came. Then the third. Then 10 at once. What happened next would become legend across the galaxy. Taehyun fought like nothing the Valorans had ever seen. He was wounded again and again. Blood poured from cuts on his arms, his chest, his legs. But he did not stop. Could not stop. Every time a guard fell, another took his place. And every time Taehyun killed them. 20 guards down. 30 guards down. The Valorans began to hesitate. They had been told humans were weak, primitive, easy to kill. But this human would not die. This human kept coming, kept fighting, kept killing, just like the persistence hunters of ancient. Earth. Just like the monsters they had been warned about. 40 guards down. Taehyung was barely standing now. His left arm hung useless at his side. Blood covered every inch of his body. His vision was blurring, but he was still alive. Emperor North watched with growing horror. In 400 years of rule, he had never seen anything like this. A single human had destroyed his elite guard. A single creature from a species they had dismissed as animals. The last guard fell. Taehyung stood alone in a field of bodies. He turned to face the Emperor, the blade still in his hand. "I am the monster your kind fears," he said. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the silent bay. "I am what happens when humans have nothing left to lose." He took a step toward the Emperor. North stumbled backward. For the first time in his ancient life, he was afraid. "But I'm not going to kill you," Taehyung continued, "because she would not want me to." He dropped the blade. "We are leaving now. And if you follow us, if you invade Earth, you will face millions more like me. Humans who fight until their last breath. Humans who never surrender. Humans who will burn your empire to the ground before they submit to chains." He reached back and took Lyray's hand. "Remember this night," he said to the Emperor. "Remember what one human did to your guards. And ask yourself if the conquest of Earth is worth what it will cost you." Then he turned and walked toward Hana's shuttle. No one tried to stop them. The shuttle launched into space. Behind them, the Valoran palace ship grew smaller and smaller. Lyray held Taehyung as he collapsed onto the medical bed. His wounds were terrible. He should have been dead 10 times over, but he was smiling. "We did it," he whispered. "We got the data. Earth has a chance." "You idiot," Lyray sobbed. "You beautiful, stubborn idiot. You almost died. Worth it." He raised his hand to touch her face. "For you. Always worth it." Hana set the hyperspace coordinates. In a few hours, they would reach Earth. The invasion plans would be delivered. Humanity would be warned. And 2 lovers from different worlds would begin their new life together. As exiles. As fugitives. As proof that even in the darkest universe, love could survive. The intelligence that Lyray and Taehyung brought to Earth changed everything. Fleet positions, attack vectors, timetables, weaknesses. Every secret of the Valoran invasion was now in human hands. The United Earth Coalition had 2 weeks to prepare. It was not much time, but it was enough. When the Valoran fleet arrived at Earth, they expected easy prey. Scattered defenses. Primitive weapons. A species too divided to resist. Instead, they found hell. Every ship was targeted before it could deploy. Every attack vector was countered. Human fighters swarmed like angry insects, fast and unpredictable. The Valoran commanders screamed orders, but nothing made sense. The humans knew exactly where they would be. Exactly what they would do. The invasion fleet was devastated. 100 ships destroyed in the first hour. 200 in the second. By the third hour, the Valoran admiral ordered a retreat. But it was too late. Human ships chased them across half the solar system, hunting them with the same relentless determination that had made humanity the apex predator of Earth. They never stopped coming. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Valoran Empire, the great conqueror of 1,000 worlds, had been defeated by humans. Those primitive creatures from a small blue planet had not only survived, but won. The galaxy learned a new word that day, a word that would be whispered in fear for generations. Humans. And within that word, another legend grew. The story of a single human who had fought 50 elite guards and won, who had stood before an emperor and made him tremble, who had proven that humanity was not prey. They called him the Reaper, and his name became a warning to anyone who thought about threatening Earth. But the man behind the legend just wanted peace. Taehyun and Lyrae found refuge on a colony world at the edge of known space. It was a small planet called Haven, not officially part of any empire or coalition. A place for people who did not belong anywhere else. Hadash now arranged everything. New identities. A small house on a cliff overlooking an orange sea. Money to live quietly. She was the only one who knew where they were. "Thank you," Taehyun said when she left them there. "For everything." Hana smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her in years. "You saved humanity. I think we are even." She paused at the door. "Take care of each other. You both deserve some happiness." Then she was gone, and Taehyun and Lyrae were alone. The first weeks were difficult. Taehyun's body healed slowly. The wounds from the palace fight left new scars among the old. Lyrae struggled with her exile. She had never cooked a meal, never cleaned a house, never lived without servants and protocol. But they learned together. Lyrae discovered that she loved gardening. The feel of soil between her fingers. The miracle of watching something grow. Taehyun found peace in simple tasks. Repairing the house. Catching fish in the orange sea. Sitting on the cliff at sunset, watching the stars come out. For the first time in his life, he was not a weapon. Months passed. The nightmares that had haunted Taehyun for years began to fade. Not completely. Some nights he still woke in cold sweat, hearing the screams of people he had killed. But now Lyrae was there, her silver blue arms wrapped around him, a voice soft in his ear. "You are safe," she would whisper. "I am here. You are safe." And slowly he believed it. They loved each other with the desperation of people who had almost lost everything. Every morning was a gift. Every night was a miracle. When they made love, it was tender and fierce at the same time. Two broken souls learning to be whole again. Lyrae's belly began to grow. The doctors on Haven said it should have been impossible. Different species. Different biology. But life found a way. A new being was growing inside her. Not quite human. Not quite Valoran. Something new. Taehyun was terrified. "I do not know how to be a father," he admitted one night. They were lying in bed, his hand resting on her stomach. "I only know how to kill. What if I fail? What if I hurt them?" Lyrae took his face in her hands. "You will not fail. You are the gentlest man I have ever known. I have killed thousands of people, and you saved billions more." She kissed him softly. "You are not a monster, Taehyun. You never were. You were a man forced to do terrible things. But that is not who you are. Who you are is the man who fought 50 soldiers to protect me, who gave up everything so my people could not hurt yours, who holds me when I cry and makes me laugh when I am sad." Taehyun closed his eyes. Tears leaked from beneath his lids. "I love you," he whispered. "I know," Lyrae replied. "And I love you. And our child will love you. And that is enough. That is everything." Then one morning, Hana's voice came through their hidden communication device. The message was short but devastating. The Valoran Empire had placed the largest bounty in galactic history on Taehyun's head. 1 billion credits. Dead or alive. Mercenaries, assassins, and bounty hunters from 100 worlds were already searching. They had traced into the Haven sector. They were coming. Lyrae read the message 3 times. Her hands were shaking. Everything they had built. Everything they had dreamed. It was all in danger. She looked at Taehyun. He was asleep. For the first time since she had known him, he was truly sleeping. Not the shallow, paranoid rest of a soldier. Real sleep. Deep and peaceful. His scarred face was relaxed. His breathing was slow and steady. One hand rested on her belly, protecting their child even in dreams. The morning light streamed through the window. It painted gold patterns on his skin, made his scars look like rivers on a map of suffering. Lyra silenced the communication device. She set it down carefully. She did not want to make a sound. She lay back down beside him. Her naked body curved against his. Her head rested on his chest. She could hear his heartbeat. Strong, steady, human. A tear slid down her silver blue cheek. She knew what was coming. The peace they had found was ending. Soon, Taihan would have to fight again. Would have to kill again. The monster the galaxy feared would have to wake. But not yet. Not right now. Right now, he was just a man. A man who had finally found rest. A man who had earned a moment of peace after a lifetime of violence. Outside, somewhere in the endless space between stars, hunters were searching. Killers were preparing. The galaxy's most dangerous beings were coming for the Reaper, and they would find him. Eventually, they would find him. Lyra knew that when they did, Taihan would stand between her and every threat. He would fight until his last breath. He would remind the galaxy why humans were feared. Why waking a sleeping predator was the worst mistake any being could make. But that was tomorrow's battle. Today, in this quiet moment, he was at peace. Lyra pressed closer to him. She breathed in his scent. She felt his warmth against her skin. She memorized every detail of this perfect morning. Then she closed her eyes and made a prayer to no one in particular. "Don't wake him," she whispered. Her voice broke on the words. "Please, just let him rest a little longer." The universe did not answer, but for now, for this one precious moment, the Reaper slept on. And the princess who loved him held him in her arms, protecting his peace, for as long as she could. Outside the window, the orange sea sparkled in the morning light. 2 moons hung low on the horizon, and somewhere in the distance, a bird was singing. The story was not over. The battles were not done, but love had survived. Against all odds. Across the gulf between species and stars and centuries of hatred. And that was enough. That was everything. For now.